Hi, my name is Steve Sailing, and I have ALS. Because of the Ice Bucket Challenge, everyone has heard of ALS, but I want to tell you a story, so you get an idea of what people with ALS are capable of, if given the opportunity. ALS is a disease where the nerves that control voluntary movement wither and die, usually within 3 to 5 years. As these nerves die, the brain loses its connection to the muscles, and the body slowly becomes paralyzed. It is important to realize that there is no problem with the sensory nerves, or the brain, so people with ALS can still feel, see, hear, smell, and taste everything, and they are fully aware, and are just as intelligent as they were before the diagnosis. I cannot walk. I cannot speak. But I still have an extremely high quality of life thanks to technology and my amazing caregivers. Technology levels the playing field. There is no physical disability on the internet. If we met online, you would never know that I was paralyzed, in a wheelchair, unable to even speak. Let me back up and tell you a little bit about myself and my incredible home. Before my diagnosis in 2006, I was healthy and strong. Now, as you must know, I am completely dependent on the care of others, and will be for the rest of my life. This computer has been my sole means of communication since 2009. I grew up just outside Atlanta, and lived there until 2004. I went to college at Auburn University to become a landscape architect. My work focused on designing public spaces, like public parks, and urban space. Ironically, my specialty was in designing places that are fully accessible for people with disabilities. When I wasn't working, I was an adrenaline junkie, and loved the outdoors. I still am, and I still do. I loved my job, but I enjoyed my free time even more. In 2004, I sold all my possessions, and moved to a small town in Tuscany, Italy, with my wife of 7 years. I worked in a vineyard and cantina making wine. It was an idyllic life, but not one that would last. In late 2005, my wife and I would separate, and I chose to move to Boston. I got my dream job working for a top design firm overlooking the Boston Common. Among other things, I worked on some of the Rose Kennedy Parkway on top of the Big Dig. I began dating a beautiful girl who would give me a son a year later. Life was good. The same time I moved to Boston, I began noticing a peculiar weakness in the grip of my left hand. In the beginning, it was only once or twice a week when the pencil would drop out of my hand when I tried to write. I spent months with different doctors dismissing my symptom. When I was finally referred to a neurologist in the spring of 2006, after exhaustive testing, I was diagnosed with ALS. It was a Friday, the 13th of October, 2006, 1 month after my 38th birthday, and also the birth of my son. As you can imagine, my life would change forever. What may be harder to understand is that it mostly has been a change for the good. Don't get me wrong, not being able to move or speak is absolutely terrible. But, while the number of things I can do for enjoyment has changed radically, my capacity to experience enjoyment has actually increased. For me, it's a matter of constantly redefining normal. There is a lot of gloom and doom on the internet about ALS. Everything I read described how there is no known cause, no treatment, no cure, no. There was really no hope given at all, and I was told my life expectancy was between 3 and 5 years. I've always had a problem with authority. I don't like to accept what makes no sense to me. I always question why, and in this case, I questioned why I would die within 5 years, if I choose to use all of the technology that is available to me. I knew that I would have a power wheelchair when I became too weak to move on my own. I knew that I would always be able to communicate through a computer, like the great Stephen Hawking. I also knew that compact, portable ventilators would breathe for me when my diaphragm becomes too weak to pump my lungs. When I asked my doctors what would kill me if I took advantage of all of these technologies, they just mumbled something about poor quality of life, but didn't really answer my question. I chose to prove them all wrong. The first thing I did was to research where I would live as my ALS got worse. I was horrified at what I discovered. I could count on my parents for a while, but I planned to outlive them, so I knew I needed a long-term solution. I found other single guys with ALS, like me, online, and went to visit them. They were living in a nursing home or chronic hospital, sharing a tiny room with a 90-year-old roommate. These people with ALS were kept alive with all of the technology that I had planned on using, but they had no choice but to live in their bed, left staring at the ceiling. I began to understand why a measly 5% of people with ALS choose to use a ventilator to prolong their life. Our society treats prisoners with more dignity and respect, and the chronically disabled, kept alive, but with no life. I knew that I had to work quickly to avoid their fate. Sometimes, it is better to be lucky than good. There is no way I could have hoped to be as successful as I have been. I was still very able 6 months after my diagnosis, when I met Barry Berman, who ran a nursing home, and wanted to build something brand new called a greenhouse that would specialize in younger disabled people. As an architect specializing in accessibility facing a very disabled future, we quickly became partners, and in 3 short years have built something that has never before existed anywhere in the world. A fully automated, vent-ready, skilled nursing residence for people with ALS and MS. Barry promised to provide the finest, most compassionate care, and true to his word, I am sharing an amazing house with 9 other friends, including some on ventilators, and we have people there 24/7, who are like family, to help us however we ask, and provide for our physical care. My part of the deal was to figure out how the house would be automated. All of the hardware was readily available, but I couldn't find any master control system, much less one that would be accessible to me as my disease progressed. The 21st century had arrived for everyone else, but the environmental control for the disabled was stuck in the 20th. I am happy to say that is no longer the case. While my home was under construction, I designed what I thought would be the perfect environmental control system, and hired a great company to build it. Barry invested over $500,000 to custom-build an automation system specifically for the disabled called PEAC. Anything that runs on electricity can be controlled with the movement of my eyes, or even my brain waves. I use it all day every day, and the freedom and independence it provides is beyond words. With it, everyone in my house has complete control of their environment. I have 100% access to my home theater on a single remote. I am able to turn off or dim the lights, lower the window shade, and watch TV or a movie. If it is warm, I am able to turn on a fan, the air conditioning, or both. I have full control of the HVAC. If the movie isn't streaming, and I need someone to put in a DVD, I can use PEAC to call for assistance. I can open and close the door to my room and my house. I can call for the elevator and select the floor. All of this I can accomplish with only my eyes using my computer mounted to my wheelchair. Because of the design, there is nothing to install on any wheelchair or on the computer. The only requirement is a wireless signal and a browser, so you could even use an iPhone. It is the perfect solution. It is very intuitive to use and everyone is able to teach themselves. So the 21st century has finally arrived for the disabled. Until medicine proves otherwise, technology is the cure. So you'd think that I'd have a lot of time on my hands, right? I think it's safe to say that I am busier than ever. No doubt, part of that is because I am now wicked slow. But mostly, it is because I have discovered that I am really good at surviving ALS, so I am trying to help as many people as possible have the choices I have. I have founded the ALS Residence Initiative, or ALSRI, to encourage the construction of homes like mine across America. In a time when everyone depends on their smartphone and computer in the clouds, there is no excuse for leaving the disabled behind. Strangely enough, I have become more successful at making a difference in the world since my disability. Isn't that what everyone wants in life? So, don't make the mistake that all of my doctors did, and assume that because I am 100% dependent on the care of others for the rest of my life, that I don't have a quality of life. I can't imagine enjoying life more. I really miss the things I can no longer do, and it tears me up when I think about the father my son is missing out on, but I focus on what I can still do. I don't see my cup as half empty or half full. My damn cup got cut in half so it is full to the brim. I live with some great friends and we go to concerts, Red Sox games, museums, the theater, and the movies. We have even gone skydiving and downhill skiing a couple of times. My career is rich and fulfilling. I still love to party and have been known to drink too much. ALS was not the end of my life, just a change in its direction. Well, that's a little bit of my story. All of us have challenges in life. No one would blame me for being upset or depressed about my particular challenge, but I figure you only live once, might as well enjoy it. It is not always easy, but I accept my challenges in life. I realize that I am very fortunate to have thoughtful 24/7 care in such a beautiful, high-tech home. My house is part of the Leonard Florence Center for Living in Chelsea, Massachusetts. The LFCL lists 10 separate greenhouse nursing homes in one building operated by the non-profit Chelsea Jewish Foundation. They prove it can be done. It is by no means an easy project, it is very challenging. But the profound impact it makes on my life cannot be limited to so few people. I will continue to advocate for more homes like mine. ALS does not have to be fatal anymore. Technology can overcome. The PEAC automation system should be standard equipment in long-term care facilities for the disabled. Such a commitment would allow people to live up to their potential. To do anything less is to do less than we are able. Thank you for your time and always remember, life is good